The lights in the courtroom were clinical, white, cold, unforgiving. Justice Elena Kagan sat poised behind her bench, the seal of the United States gleaming above her head. But the calm in her expression was deceptive. There was a storm brewing, and its name was Jasmine Crockett. The room was packed. Journalists lined the back, pens ready, cameras rolling. Something about today felt different. Not just another hearing. Not just another political clash. It was as if everyone in the room had already sensed it. Someone was going to bleed metaphorically, and it wasn't going to be Jasmine. Jasmine walked in not like a guest, but like a reckoning. Black blazer, eyes locked forward, no script, no notes. She didn't need them. She was the storm. Justice Kagan cleared her throat. Let's maintain order and avoid turning this into a performance. A smirk tugged at the corner of Jasmine's lips. Respectfully, Justice, silence may be comfortable for power, but it's suffocating for truth. Gasps echoed in the room. The first jab had landed. Kagan's brow tightened. You're a guest here, Ms. Crockett. I suggest you remember that. Jasmine didn't flinch. Then you should remember, the people sent me. For a second, the silence in the chamber was deafening. The reporters didn't even scribble. All eyes locked on Jasmine. And just like that, within 60 seconds, she had seized the room. And Justice Kagan knew, she had just made a mistake. Justice Kagan leaned forward, her voice crisp. This court isn't a platform for political theater. Jasmine didn't blink. Then maybe it shouldn't act like it's casting one. There it was again, that flash of rebellion, too fast to suppress and too sharp to ignore. Kagan's fingers tapped twice against the bench. It was subtle, but everyone saw it. Irritation, rising. Control, slipping. I'm warning you, Ms. Crockett, this is a legal proceeding, Kagan said, her tone hardening. And I'm warning you, Jasmine replied, stepping closer, her voice low but thunderous, that legality and justice haven't shared the same room here in a very long time. The gallery gasped. A few reporters dropped their pens. Kagan's eyes narrowed. Your insinuations border on contempt. Contempt? Jasmine scoffed. You sit on a bench funded by billionaires and have the audacity to speak of contempt? That did it. The murmurs became murmurs no more. Audible reactions surged through the room. Kagan turned to the bailiff, signaling for quiet, but it was too late. The courtroom wasn't hers anymore. Jasmine slowly raised a single sheet of paper. Would you like to explain this, Justice Kagan? Or should I read aloud what your office tried to bury last week? Silence. Jasmine's eyes scanned the room. She wasn't asking for permission. She was giving a final warning. And Kagan, usually composed, usually unshakable, looked, for a fleeting second, unsure. The shift had begun. Jasmine didn't need theatrics. Facts were shocking enough on their own. The document I'm holding, she said, voice calm but razor-sharp, details an off-the-record donor meeting held under your oversight last year. Guest list? 2 pharmaceutical CEOs, an energy lobbyist, and a former judicial advisor, who now has a case before this very bench. Justice Kagan's lip twitched. That's blatant speculation. You present this court as a sacred institution, Jasmine continued, eyes locked on hers, but behind closed doors, you're having dinner with the same people buying verdicts. A stir swept through the courtroom. Some senators shifted in their seats. Cameras flashed like lightning. That's slander, Kagan said, her voice cracking slightly for the first time. Jasmine tilted her head. Slander? Then why has your office been stalling a public records request about this for 3 months? Silence. I won't be silent, Justice, Jasmine said, stepping forward. Because when you stay silent, women suffer. Minorities get crushed. And justice, real justice, always seems to land on the wrong side of your silence. Applause nearly broke out, but the crowd held back. The room wasn't ready to move. It was frozen. Because in that moment, everyone knew, Jasmine Crockett wasn't just speaking. She was shaking the system from the foundation up. And for the first time, Justice Kagan looked down. Because she knew Jasmine wasn't just winning an argument. She was rewriting the rules. Justice Kagan straightened her robe as if it could shield her. "You're misrepresenting this court, Ms. Crockett." "No, I'm revealing it," Jasmine replied, her voice louder now, unapologetically firm. "And maybe you're uncomfortable because the truth doesn't fit your narrative anymore." She walked toward the center of the courtroom like it belonged to her, and in that moment, it did. I've sat in too many hearings watching people in robes pretend neutrality while their donors call the shots. And every time we ask why nothing changes, why the same people suffer, why the same injustices repeat, y'all say it's the process. But this, she gestured around her, isn't justice. It's theater for the powerful. A sharp murmur spread across the room. Even the stenographer paused for a beat. Kagan's voice trembled slightly. "This isn't your pulpit." Jasmine's gaze didn't soften. "No, it's yours. But you've been silent too long. So I'm borrowing it. For the people you've ignored." She turned to the audience, directly addressing America. "Do you feel heard? Do you feel seen? Or do you watch these courtrooms and wonder if you'll ever matter here?" No one moved. Even the guards didn't breathe. This bench is built on promises. But promises mean nothing without courage. And if the people wearing these robes won't find it, then the people who put them there will. For the first time in years, the courtroom didn't belong to the justices. It belonged to Jasmine Crockett, and the country that had finally found its voice in her. Justice Kagan gripped the bench with both hands now, her composure thinning. "Ms. Crockett, this courtroom demands respect." "It hasn't earned it," Jasmine fired back. "Not when rulings are written with ink dipped in donor money." The room sucked in air. Gasps, half-swallowed words. Even conservative staffers shifted uncomfortably. "Are you accusing the court of corruption?" Kagan asked, voice rising, more defensive than judicial now. "I'm not accusing," Jasmine said, lifting another sheet of paper. "I'm showing." She read aloud, February 12, undisclosed meeting between Justice Kagan's staff and the legal team for AgriCorps Incorporated, days before a key environmental ruling. "No such meeting has been confirmed," Kagan started. "It hasn't been denied either," Jasmine snapped. "And it sure hasn't been investigated." Kagan's face tightened, jaw locked. This institution used to be about ideals. Now it's about immunity. "You want us to respect the court?" Jasmine gestured wide again. "Start by holding it accountable." From the gallery, someone whispered, "She's right." Kagan leaned back, visibly shaken. She glanced to the side, as if looking for a rescue that wasn't coming. Jasmine stood center stage, but she wasn't grandstanding, she was prosecuting. Not a person, but a system. And the room knew it. This wasn't a courtroom anymore. It was a reckoning. And Jasmine Crockett had just lit the match. Justice Kagan shifted in her chair, but Jasmine didn't give her a second to recover. "You've used silence as a weapon," she said, stepping forward, "but that won't work on me. And it won't work on the people anymore." She turned slightly, eyes scanning the chamber, camera lenses, stunned aides, and a nation watching live. "You think I'm standing here because I want a moment on the evening news?" she asked. "No, I'm here because people are tired. Tired of decisions made in rooms they'll never enter, by judges they'll never meet, for reasons they'll never understand." She held up a chart, visible to the cameras. 83% of Americans support reproductive freedom. "You don't. Why?" She paused. No answer. "Then I'll keep going." Another document. 70% of Americans support stronger environmental protections. "You sided with corporate polluters." "Why?" Jasmine's voice hardened. You've made rulings that hurt working families, strip away rights, and crush dissent, and when we ask why, you hide behind jurisprudence. But jurisprudence isn't justice. And robes don't make you right. Justice Kagan tried to speak, but her words stumbled into silence. Because Jasmine wasn't done. You work for us, she said. Not for donors. Not for party bosses. Not for legacy clubs or shadow organizations. You serve the Constitution, and the people who believe in it. For the first time, the courtroom trembled, not from noise, but from truth. And Jasmine Crockett stood unshaken, unmoved, undeniable. Justice Kagan leaned forward, her voice suddenly sharper. You are turning this courtroom into a circus. Jasmine's eyes didn't flinch. No. I'm turning it into a mirror. If you don't like the reflection, that's not my fault. A stunned silence. Kagan gathered herself. This court is not your stage. Then stop handing out scripts to corporations, Jasmine snapped. Because right now, it's looking a lot like a Broadway show for billionaires. The chamber stirred, again. Viewers across the country were frozen. Social media exploded in real time. But Jasmine didn't care about trending. She cared about truth. She stepped closer to the bench. Do you know what's happening outside these marble walls? Do you even see the people you rule over? She pulled up her phone, held up a photo. This is Shauna Williams. She lost her son to polluted drinking water. You ruled against her town's lawsuit. Now her child's gone, and she can't even afford the funeral. She tapped the next photo. This is Rafael Cruz. A farmworker who got deported after your court allowed ICE to override sanctuary protections. His daughter wakes up screaming every night. Kagan shifted in her seat. Every time you hide behind precedent, people bleed. And you tell them, this is the law. But what they hear is, this is the price you pay for not being powerful enough to matter. Jasmine lowered the phone. I'm not here to play by your rules, Justice. I'm here to remind you who you actually work for. The gallery was breathless. Even those who came to criticize Jasmine couldn't look away. Because now they weren't watching a political confrontation. They were witnessing something rarer. A system being dragged, screaming, into the light. Jasmine took a breath, but not to calm herself. It was the kind of breath taken before dropping truth like a gavel. I did my homework, she said, eyes locked on Kagan. I went through your rulings, your speeches, even your early writings. And what I found? You weren't always like this. Kagan blinked, startled. You used to speak of balance. Of restraint. Of justice that bends toward the people. Jasmine stepped forward. But something changed. Somewhere along the way, your opinions stopped sounding like they came from the bench, and started sounding like they were ghostwritten by lobbying firms. She held up a binder. Slammed it on the desk before her. Here are 43 decisions you've authored or co-signed that directly benefit corporations, many of which have political action committees that, coincidentally, donated to groups tied to your former clerks. Kagan opened her mouth, but Jasmine didn't stop. I'm not here to accuse you of being evil, Justice Kagan. I'm here to tell you the mask of neutrality is slipping. And the people see it. She turned to the gallery again. Have any of you ever sat in a courtroom and felt like the verdict was decided before you even spoke? Murmurs. Heads nodding. Then you know this system doesn't need reform. It needs resurrection. She looked back to Kagan. I'm not the problem here. I'm the consequence. Of silence. Of compromise. Of cowardice dressed up as civility. The courtroom had become a furnace of tension. And Jasmine Crockett was the spark that lit the blaze. Justice Kagan sat frozen, hands clasped, lips sealed. No gavel. No objection. No power in her voice. And Jasmine? Jasmine wasn't waiting for permission anymore. This isn't just about your decisions, Justice, she said. It's about the message they send. When powerful people get shielded, and working families get sentenced. She held up a single envelope. This is from a whistleblower, inside your own court clerk system. It details internal communications with a political advocacy group, before you ruled on a case tied to them. A low gasp rippled across the room. You can try to call me dramatic. You can say I'm politicizing the court. But the truth is, this place was politicized long before I got here. I'm just the first one brave enough to say it out loud. Kagan glanced sideways, toward her fellow justices seated in shadow. But none moved. None came to her defense. That was when it hit the room. She was alone. And Jasmine was the majority now. Jasmine turned once more to the cameras. We're told to respect institutions. Even when they fail us. Even when they profit from our pain. But today, we respect truth. She raised her voice. And the truth is, the courtroom doesn't belong to the elite. It belongs to the people. Thunderous silence followed. A silence louder than any gavel strike. Justice Kagan lowered her eyes. Not in shame. Not in defeat. In recognition. She had lost the room, and Jasmine Crockett had claimed it for the country. Jasmine didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. She looked directly at the cameras, her gaze steady, her breath calm, her presence undeniable. If this court wants to continue serving power, she said, then it should no longer expect the people to serve it. She took a single step forward. Justice is not a brand. It's not a slogan. And it damn sure isn't a privilege for the rich. Behind her, murmurs stirred among reporters, legal clerks, even stunned aides. Some stood, not in protest, but in respect. Jasmine's eyes scanned the chamber one last time. To every young woman who's been talked over, to every activist called angry, to every voter who wonders if their voice still matters, I see you. She pressed her hand over her chest. And I promise you this, silence will never win again. A pause. A final breath. Then she turned, not to retreat, but to walk out on her terms. The door to the courtroom opened. And in that moment, the nation changed. Because Jasmine Crockett hadn't just spoken truth to power. She'd made sure power had no choice but to listen. Let tonight serve as a reminder, a title and a robe don't make you untouchable, truth does. For too long, this court has asked the public for reverence while offering secrecy in return. Reverence is earned. And it starts with accountability. So to every American who watched a Supreme Court justice scramble for answers, remember that moment. When institutions forget who they serve, your voice can bring them back to reality. Keep speaking. Keep asking. Keep demanding receipts. Because silence isn't civility, it's consent. And we're done consenting to corruption.